And welcome back to the Weiner Wellness Virtual Summit. We are back again with Mike Gallagher. He is our outside sales professional for Pennsylvania. He's incredible at what he does. He was my rep when I had my clinic. And those that have Mike as their rep, they are very fortunate because he is the master at knowing product and product protocols. And today he's going to discuss probably our favorite supplement, right, Mike? This is one of our favorites, dimethylglycine.
Absolutely my favorite.
DMG, the miracle pill. So, Mike, I'm just going to disappear. I'm just going to let you take over, and I'm going to go share this.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Appreciate the kind words. And I'm super excited, everybody. This is my favorite ingredient, favorite supplement. As Tracy just mentioned, it does things that no other supplement does. And no other supplement has the research that this has. The challenge is most people never heard of this ingredient, dimethylglycine, or we kind of call it DMG, the acronym for it. So we're going to talk about it, how it works, the patents on it. Now the patents have run out, so we kind of have to use this in past tense. But again, we just want to show people out there the research on this is absolutely incredible. And this is something I personally take and have been ever since I found out about it 13 years ago. So a lot of work has been done by this Dr. Roger Kendall. He's a PhD molecular biochemist. He spent his entire lifetime researching DMG. So again, we owe him a great deal of gratitude here because of all the hard work that he's has found with this. Okay, so we're going to get into it. And again, very, very excited with this. Okay. So these are just a small sample size of all the amazing benefits that DMG does. So it actually improves oxygen, okay, into the cells. It's technically a methylizer. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. Enhances the immune system, extremely important, obviously, these days. It helps with all cardiovascular function. Very powerful anti-inflammatory. Technically, it's an antioxidant, is how we have to classify DMG. It helps with liver function. It helps with brain. It does pass through the blood-brain barrier. Very important. So all neurological issues, especially autism, and the big C, anti-cancer properties. So, of course, we're not making any claims. And for anybody with any of these issues or on medications, obviously, we're not telling you to get off any medication. We'll always have to work with your PCP or provider there with that. But if you start using DMG and obviously have a much better healthy lifestyle, eating healthy choices, drinking plenty of water, reducing stress, sleeping, again, the whole program, we can dramatically see benefits. So all these things are amazing, okay? All have huge benefits, but I would say the most important on this slide right here is the first one, improving oxygen. So DMG is one of the only substances that we have found that actually increases oxygen into the cells. And this is extremely important, okay, because all viruses cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment, okay? Again, are we making any claims? Nope, we're just stating biochemistry here. All bacteria, okay? All parasites, including spirochetes, which is also known as Lyme's disease, okay, cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. So as part of our Lyme's protocol that we've had incredible results with. And of course, cancer cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. So when we do this, when we improve oxygen, everything else will follow. And again, this is one of the only substances that I've ever studied in 28 years that actually does this. So that is why this is such an amazing formula, okay? I also want to mention a couple other things with DMG, okay? It's not new. It's been around for over 30 years, almost 30 years now, okay? Secondly, we all have DMG in our bodies, okay? We have just teeny tiny trace amounts in every cell in our body, okay? The problem is most people, 99% of the population does not make enough of it, okay? So all we're simply doing is adding more of what your body needs, okay? So I just want to emphasize that as well. This is not something foreign to the body that we're adding like a drug, okay? We're actually adding something that is already there. So extremely important. Other benefits, athletes. Okay, so one of the original research on this was done in the 70s with Russian athletes. During the Olympics, they were taking DMG for athletic performance. Now, you know, again, this is when they were beating our butts. Now, they probably were taking a few other things, shall we say, but DMG is one of the things they took. So there's tremendous research for this for athletic performance. It reduces lactic acid buildup, improves muscle recovery. So this is, I've had practitioners and accounts and people who've done this running marathons and ultra marathons and things like this, that it absolutely does help with their endurance and they're not as sore the next day. Now we take it one step further here at Nutritional Frontiers because we have them in our sports nutrition line, which is extremely unique. We have them in our super creatine formula DMG. We have it in our power fuel DMG, our pre-workout energy drink. We also have it in our pro oranges. In fact, we have them in all of our colors. So we use DMG. We take the DMG to another level by adding it to a lot of our other formulas as well. Okay. The heart, I mentioned a moment ago, specifically can help with cholesterol, with blood pressure, angina, which is chest pain. There can help with all those things. And again, we take it to another level with our cardio stack formula, has DMG in it as well, with a couple other key nutrients for your heart. Again, we mentioned immune response. It's been shown to enhance B and T cell function. All right, this is critical. All right, it's obviously these things are very in the news now, shall we say, to help fight all viruses. So again, it's been shown to help with that. And I mentioned viral bacterial infections already. The brain, autism. So DMG has tremendous research on autism. We're going to cover a couple slides here that emphasize this. And again, maybe this doesn't pertain to you with these things, but maybe you know somebody, a family member, a friend who has autism. And again, we just want to put this message out there and let them know there are some natural things that we can do. Seizures, we're going to get into that, and focus and mental acuity. So ADD, ADHD. And again, one of the things that I commonly see when people try this for the first time, they get more energy, but they also I always say they kind of clear out the cobwebs, right? They actually are able to focus. It's one of the initial responses, shall we say, for that I commonly hear when people try this for the first time. I mentioned helps with inflammation, specifically arthritis and joint health, all autoimmune issues. DMG is fantastic for, especially lupus. So anybody in that situation, keep that in mind. And when you combine it with Perna muscle, which we call green lipid muscle, get even greater results. Okay, and again, the big C, right? Cancer. So folks, this is just a small sample of all the amazing things that DMG, it actually does hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other benefits. We don't have time in this short period for this talk, but hopefully you get the drift. It really, literally will help with everything, which is why I called the title The Miracle Pill. Again, there's no such thing technically, but it can help. It can help, especially if you're doing the whole program. Okay, so we're all about the safety, of course, all right? And the great news is DMG has tremendous research on the safety profile. Again, it's actually almost close to 30 years now. There's been no significant adverse events, okay? There's no contraindications with any medication, okay? We just would take it at least an hour apart from all medication, right? But even University of Southern California, USC, Clemson, they've done numerous studies with this, and technically everything has a limit, right? Even water, you can drink too much water and die. It's happened. So technically any substance, there's always that aspect of it, but you would have to consume 5,000 pills at once for you to have an adverse reaction. So that's both physically and financially not going to happen. The point is, folks, this is one of the safest supplements you can take with anything. And that's the whole point. We've never had an issue as far as safety with this. And this is one of our original formulas now going on 13 years. Okay. So how much do we need to take? This is always the challenge. Now, for accounts that muscle test or have machines and things like this, obviously we always would go by that. But just general recommendation, here's what the research has shown. So general use in healthy aging, again, we like to use that term anti-aging, right? 125 to 500 milligrams. So when DMG first came out, almost 30 years ago, it only came out in 100 milligrams or 125 milligrams, right? So we want to make things as therapeutic as possible. So with our formula, which is right here, we have it in a box, and in the box there's 60 chewables. They taste fantastic, like a cherry sweet tart. Okay, these are 500 milligrams per chew. Okay, 500 milligrams. So if you don't have any health issues at all and you just want to be preventative, and again, that's always the best. Prevention is always the best medicine. Just one a day. That's what I take. That's what I've been taking for almost 13 years straight. Every single day, one a day. Okay. Now, if you have any inflammatory issues whatsoever, we recommend at least 2 a day. 2 a day gets us to that 1,000 milligram mark. So you can see, for more serious issues, right? Immune, heart, diabetes, right? Brain, now we'll skip cancer. We'll come to that in a second. Autoimmune, right? Chronic fatigue, liver. So it's very simple, 1,000 milligrams, 2 a day, okay? Now, cancer, if it's active cancer, we would recommend minimum 3 a day. Now, you can go up to 5 a day, but I would say minimum 3 a day. And again, folks, I just want to emphasize here, this is one piece of a large puzzle, right? This is not the only thing, but it's a very important piece, okay? So again, not making any claims, just showing you what the published studies, and we're going to go over the patents on this here in a moment at the end, even including cancer here, okay? So really, folks, for most people, 1 a day. If you have any inflammatory issues right now, 2 a day. Okay, I do 1 in the morning, 1 at noon. If you had active cancer, I would go at least the third one by 3 p.m. Okay, the thing about DMG is we always want to dose it earlier in the day, never in the later in the day, because if you take it after 3 p.m., it could interfere with your sleep. Because again, a lot of people feel that energy, but it's cellular energy. It's totally different than caffeine or anything like this. Okay, it's very, very cool feeling, but that's why we don't want to take it later in the day. Now, if you have cancers in remission, I would do 2 a day minimum. Okay, 2 a day minimum if it's in remission. All right, so that's the key with this. Now, we have a liquid that I just want to mention. Okay, the liquid, if you fill it full dropper up, it's 300 milligrams. Who do we recommend the liquid to? All right, animals. There's tremendous research with dogs, cats, and horses for DMG, but we recommend the liquid, okay? All right, and depending on the body weight of the animal really determines the dose. Now, horses are a little bit different, but again, we'll talk about that more in a second. Okay, also babies, infants, toddlers, anyone under 2 years old, okay? We've had some incredible cases, including Dr. Tracy herself. I remember had an amazing story with a toddler with DMG helping. So again, the liquid is for those people, okay? So that's why we have the liquid option. Animals and younger people, okay? Everybody else, we strongly recommend the chewables. So I mentioned a second ago, when this first came out, it was only 100, 125 milligrams. So most people aren't taking 10 a day. Have a hard time with that, right? Would you rather take 2 a day versus 10 a day? I think most people rather take 2 a day if you have any inflammatory issue, okay? So hopefully that makes sense as far as how we look at this in the dosing. Now, because DMG does so many amazing things, we're just going to focus on the patents and focus on the major topics here in the next couple slides. Now, at this point, when I'm talking to a doctor or a practitioner for the first time about DMG, they usually ask me, well, how does it do all these amazing things, Mike? How is this possible? And this is how. All right, so this is a simplified version of the methylation chart, okay? Now there's a series of conversions, and this happens in every single cell in the body, okay? In a millionth of a second or trillionth of a second in every cell, and there's over 1 trillion cells. So think about that for a second, how incredible our bodies are. But this is a simplified version, okay? There's actually 42 conversions that takes place. We call this the methylation chart, okay? So at the very beginning is DMG. Again, our bodies have this in our system, just not enough for 99% of us, okay? So it goes through these series of these conversions. So it goes from DMG, it pulls up from the methyl donor, and then goes into sarcosine, then it pulls from the methyl donor, and then in the glycine, pulls from the methyl donor, then in the serine. Now at this point, it's very interesting. Some of it converts into methionine, then into SAMe, right? And then if you go down that slide there, you'll see it converts into ATP, energy, cellular energy. So that's why a lot of people feel energy from it. But some of it goes right into homocysteine, okay? And then into cysteine, and then eventually glutathione. So glutathione, folks, is your master antioxidant. It's really hard for your body to convert supplements into glutathione, okay? So DMG is one of the only things out there nutritionally that can actually convert to glutathione. Right? It's your master immune response, okay? So it's really, really important. And because of the research on this, that's why it had a US patent to boost your immune. Okay, so this chart, you know, when you see this for the first time, it can be overwhelming. So I'm just gonna give some simple analogies so people kind of understand this and how it relates to our everyday life, okay? So serine. Now, some supplement companies, by the way, or some supplements focus just on these individual methylators, okay? But again, the cool thing about DMG, the amazing thing about DMG, it actually works on every one of these. So think of the, most cases we're either out of balance on one of these conversions. Every person on the planet. And there's a lot of factors for that, obviously diet and lifestyle, but there's some genetics aspects of this as well for people with genetic SNPs like MTHFR and so forth. But DMG actually helps with the conversion of every one of these to rebalance it. So let's focus on a couple of these just to kind of give it some real world applications. So serine. Serine methylators are associated with addictions and the brain. And when I say addictions, drug, alcohol, okay, but also ADD, ADHD, and autism. And again, it's that particular methylation on that particular aspect is out of balance, okay? So DMG can help with this. It actually rebalances this particular methylator, okay? Homocysteine. Homocysteine now is a typical test that a lot of doctors now do for cardiovascular health. Okay, it's an inflammatory marker for cardiovascular health. So if a person has high homocysteine levels, okay, they're prone to heart disease, heart attacks, and so forth, right? So DMG can actually rebalance homocysteine. So again, that's why it's fantastic for cardiovascular issues in the heart. And then cysteine is for the liver. It's a part of liver detoxification. So do you ever wonder why some people, maybe yourself, can, you know, if you're a coffee lover, you know, some people can drink coffee after dinner and have no problems going to sleep. And then other people, they are bouncing off the walls for 2 days when they drink coffee or any caffeinated, right? This is why. This is why it's this particular methylator, cysteine. And again, it's out of balance. So again, DMG can help to rebalance it. So these are just some everyday real applications that we want people to see, but there's thousands of other things. And again, have to do with your health. So DMG covers every one of these conversions. And that's the amazing thing about this, okay? Now, methylation is, again, I always say methylation is a fancy word for absorption, okay? And again, we know a lot of people have trouble, obviously, with GI issues, absorbing and breaking down nutrients and food and so forth, but it gets even deeper on a cellular level here with methylation. So here's the beautiful thing about DMG is that when you combine it with any other supplement that you're taking, any other vitamin, when you add DMG to it, it will make it more efficient. and more effective. And you're going to get faster, quicker results. So it won't interfere with any other vitamin that you're already doing. It will just jumpstart it. And this is why we use DMG and so many of our formulas, okay? Because we're trying to get you that extra benefit, okay? So this is a really big deal. Now, with medications, again, as I mentioned, DMG will not interfere. But if you are taking DMG, again, an hour apart from any medication, all right, it should make that medication more effective and more efficient. So if you're working with your PCP, all right, let them know you're taking this and anything else, by the way. We always want to have an open communication. But as you are getting better results, hopefully they can lower the medication, right? Which is the ultimate goal, to none at all. So that's the amazing thing about this, is that no other supplement does this, okay? So absolutely amazing, and why it works on all these health issues. Now, you might say, Mike, I don't believe you. This is too good to be true, all right? Can you give me the research and the studies? Wow, Dr. Roger Kindle wrote this book, right? It's my favorite book I've ever read, the whole history of DMG. And whenever I talk to a doctor for the first time, they always say, can you give me the studies and, can you send them to me? I'd love to, where's the published research on this? So I just very quickly, I go to the back of the book, right? And on page 231, there literally is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of studies. So I always tell the doc, I said, Doc, do you want those studies alphabetical order or top 100? Right? And then they look at me, but they just aren't aware. They're just not aware. They've never heard it. 99% of practitioners have never heard of it, or they maybe have heard of it, but have no idea about the research or the benefits of it until we discuss this with them, right? So keep that in mind. But this book is here at Weiner Wellness Center. It's fantastic. If you ever want to read more, it breaks each of these conditions down. There's a whole chapter on all these major topics that we're going to discuss, but we're going to give you the flash version of it here right now. Okay, so let's talk about the patents. Okay, so let's first emphasize. So to have a U.S. patent on a supplement is extremely rare, extremely unique. Okay, and it requires, not only do you need the research, but it requires a lot of money to go through the entire process to get a U.S. patent on it. But look at this first one here. It goes back to June 25th, 1991. Okay. Treatment of arthritis and inflammation using dimethylglycine. Okay. So folks, that is a drug claim, right? So all other supplements have to have that disclaimer, may not prevent, treat, or cure disease. But with DMG, it actually proved that it can treat all arthritis and inflammation. Okay. That is very powerful. Now the patent ran out because the patent is only good for so many years. So we have to use this in past tense, right? But it's just right there, folks, for everybody to see. And again, when I show this to the doctor, they're blown away. They're blown away that we can actually make a drug claim with the supplement. Okay. Now, so when you dig deeper here and you look at all the studies with this, it reduced all these anti-inflammatory markers. So PGE2 is known as prostaglandin 2, TNF, interleukin 6, and so forth. These are the same markers that drug companies test their drugs on. We have the same exact studies with DMG. And again, that's what doctors want to see. And that's what pharmacists want to see when I show them this. And again, they're blown away by this. So in the past, we would recommend it with HA plus and omega-3 fish oil. But now we have X-Flame as far as on pain, inflammation. And we also now have a brand new type of fish oil called SPMs, which again is cutting edge, newest of the new, for helping with pain and inflammation as well. And Dr. Tracy did a fantastic talk on it on Tuesday for anybody who wants to go back and listen to that. So again, great research. Now, again, here's one of the studies, in animal studies. So DMG was on the top, reduction of inflammation with just DMG. The control group is on the bottom, one from 66% down to 27%. just with DMG. When you added green lipid muscle, and that's the name for the perna, that's the Latin name for it, it actually helped even further, okay? And again, green lipid muscle is something we recommend, especially for tendons, ligaments, strained, sprained shoulders, fantastic for that, as well as lupus. And there is actually research on green lipid muscle as well with rheumatoid arthritis as well. Okay, so very powerful anti-inflammatory, reduces free radical damage, right? That's the antioxidant benefit, and helps regulate all immune response. Now, here's the second patent. This is a little bit more recent, June 12, 2007. So it's a two-parter here. Methods and compositions for modulating immune response. Okay, so that's a fancy way of saying boosting your immune system. And for the treatment of all inflammatory disease. Okay, say that again. Treatment of all inflammatory disease. A U.S. patent on a supplement to treat all inflammation. And that is the root of all chronic diseases, inflammation. So to have a supplement to make a health claim like this is extremely powerful. Again, most people have never seen this before. Okay, so let's go back to the immune one for 1 second. So this is a study that broke into 3 different subgroups. Okay, so the first 3 patients were normal, second 3 were sickle cell, last 3 were diabetic. And we're looking at lymphocytes, T cells, okay? And they're like little Pac-Man. When you have a virus or bacteria issue, you're fighting your immune system, you need lymphocytes, very, very important T cells, okay? So you can see before is in yellow, blue is after. Every single one of these shows significant improvement. Doesn't matter, you know, how healthy you were or unhealthy, they all showed benefits. In fact, statistically speaking, all of them showed at least 400% improvement in T cells. And folks, I don't know any other supplement, I don't know any drug that increases T cell production by 400%, okay? So very powerful. This is one of the reasons why we took the DMG to another level with our Immunomax. Our Immunomax has DMG in it, plus several other very powerful immune enhancers. And again, I know people aren't thinking about their immune system right now in the summertime, but you should, because we're always fighting bacteria and viruses, no matter what you know, where you're at. So again, I always suggest Immunomax along with your DMG, 1 in the summer, 2 in the winter. If you are in a place where you're seeing more people at a concert or big event or something like that, then I always bump up the Immunomax to 3 a day. So, but this is why, folks, right here is a huge reason why we use DMG in the Immunomax. All right, seizures. Now you might say to me, Mike, I don't have a seizure. Why do I need to see this? Well, again, you might know somebody who does. Okay, and this is really critical to information to pass on. So first, look at the date on this, October 21st, 1982. This was published in New England Journal of Medicine. Okay, so folks, for those who don't know that, that's New England Journal of Medicine is one of the most prestigious peer-reviewed medical journals in the world. It's what all medical doctors refer to when they're doing lectures and looking up research, okay? So again, I always call it like the Holy Bible for medical doctors. So in 1982, there was a published study with DMG helping with seizures, okay? So look at this, let's go through this slide here, okay? So before they started the DMG, the group was averaging 17 seizures a week. Okay, 17 seizures a week. They started taking DMG. In this case, they went down to 1 DMG, 1 chewable in this case, and they went from 17 to 3 in 2 weeks, just 2 weeks. Okay, they maintained that till week 5. They stopped the DMG, came right back to where it was prior. Okay, they started again 2 weeks later, went right back down to where it was previously, but at week 11, they increased the DMG. And again, we would go from 1 chewable to 2 chewables, okay, at this point, and it went down from 3 to 1 seizure, okay? At week 14, they stopped it. Now, interesting enough, it did come back up, but not as bad as it did originally, okay? And then they started it again, right back, and then for the next week 15 on, stayed at 1 seizure for the next 20 weeks. Okay. So I was showing this to one of my other doctors who had a patient who was averaging 80 seizures a month, 80. Okay. And I showed him this slide. He'd never heard of DMG. He'd never seen this before. And I said, Doc, why don't you try it on him? You got nothing to lose, won't interfere with any medication. So he said, sure. So he tried it on the person, and the patient went from 80 to 0 in 1 month. In 1 month. I'll never forget it. He called me. He was so excited. So was the patient. Again, folks, is that every case, every time? No, but I've seen this work over and over again for seizures. So just want to throw it out there for anybody who is having issues with this, or as a family member or friend, pass this on to them. And again, when I show this slide to a medical doctor, their jaw hits the ground. They've never seen a study. And it just again reinforces it. What they're being taught, what they're being aware of is not everything. Let's put it that way, especially when it comes to nutrition. And they can't argue with this. They cannot argue with New England Journal of Medicine. Okay. So again, that's another reason why I love this slide. Okay. Autism. I mentioned again, there's tremendous research with autism. Here's just one of the studies with it. And again, you can see before DMG and after DMG, 80% improvement in verbal communication, cooperation, eating, and bathroom habits. 80. Okay. So again, anybody who is suffering or has family members in this situation, please, very important information to pass on. Dr. Rimland was another doctor who had given DMG to children since the 80s. Again, saw all kinds of amazing benefits there as well, using it on that. Here's another study. Dr. Jung did another study. Again, there's all different studies. We just pulled a couple here just to show you, again, showing very similar benefits, improved communication, better social interaction, and so forth, right? Reducing hyperactivity. So it goes on and on. Now, again, we have the DMG, but we then took it one step further. We have another formula in our line called Neuromax. And Neuromax has other really critical nutrients in there as well, B vitamins and minerals that typically most autistic children are depleted in. So that's taking it one step further with the Neuromax. So if they can do that, that would actually be even better. But if they want to just start with DMG, that's fine too. So again, just want to point that out for anybody. But Neuromax is also great for ADD and ADHD and things like that. Okay. And then last but not least, cancer, specifically melanoma, right? So we talked about this before. Again, not making any claims, just showing, but this is a U.S. patent. This goes back to February 19th, 1991, treatment of melanoma using dimethylglycine, okay? Say that one more time because it's powerful. And it's the only supplement I've ever studied in 28 years that had a U.S. patent to treat cancer. Now, melanoma, of course, is skin cancer, one of the toughest cancers to deal with and work with. But working with Dr. Weiner, he's used DMG with hundreds and hundreds of different cancer patients. Now, again, it's one piece. It's many, many pieces to this. So again, but it can have some incredible benefits with cancer patients. And again, published studies on this is very strong. So both in animal and cell culture studies, it's both demonstrating to both prevent and even help reverse in animal and cell culture studies. Now, this is one study that we pulled, okay? So chicken embryos that they induced tumors into, okay? So in yellow, you can see the tumor size there in yellow, all right? Before DMG, they then gave them DMG and look at the results there. Over 60% reduction in tumor size, right? 60% reduction just with DMG. Now, it's one thing to see it on a bar graph. It's another to actually look at it, the visual of this. So these were the chicken embryos. You can see the tumors there, highlighted there in green, right? That was before DMG. 90 days later, folks, there they are again, 60% reduction, okay? So again, this is not the only thing we would suggest. We always want to work with your doctor. You have to really, with cancer, of course, we have to work with qualified healthcare practitioners, such as Jeff Nisnik here, or Ashley Rosley here as well at the Weiner Wellness Center. But again, we just want to put that message out there that there are some supplements that can be greatly beneficial, and DMG is one of them. And the research on this is extremely profound. Okay, so that pretty much sums it up there. Again, we could go into a lot more details, but I think we covered a lot. Dr. Tracy, is there any questions or anything that people have out there?
Nope, just a lot of sounds amazing comments, terrific comments. All the good things, Mike. Nothing but good things.
All right. Tracy, did you want to mention that one? Did you want to mention that one case? Because I think it's incredible.
That was actually, it was a 6-month-old baby. It wasn't even a toddler. And this mama kept coming in. And so I just want to preface this, that the baby was unvaccinated. This mama was like a very holistic living type of mom, doing all the right things. And the baby got sick, like just kind of caught a cold, and it just hung on. And it didn't matter what we did for mama. So, I said, we need to directly do something for baby. And beyond probiotics at 6 months old, I'm kind of like, vitamin D, like things that we did. So I messaged Mike and I was like, what do you suggest? And he's like, DMG. And at the time I was like, oh, and this was what, 6 years ago? I don't even know how long. Far too long ago, right? And you were like, whole dropper full. That's what Dr. Weiner would do. And I was like, all right. So, me, I have to ask the question. I'm like, is that safe? And you're like, yep, no contraindications, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. So we did that. And the mom called me the next day and she's like, I don't know what that stuff is. And I don't know what it did, but my baby is doing great. And she has bought it ever since and keeps it in her house. And, it's one of those that I suggest on my mommy apothecary, like that you should have in your house because you can position it for so many things.
Absolutely.
Energy, recovery. You see a cold coming on, John, my son, he's 11. He takes it always before games, before practices. We just put it in his water. So, Luke takes it. He just likes the taste. We use the liquid because it's sweeter. And that's what we prefer. But I do the chewables just because they're easier. Right. So really delivery systems are easy and it's completely safe. And I love it.
In that book, there's a whole chapter for animals. So for you animal lovers out there, it gives you dosing, everything for all that. So again,
I would use the liquid for animals just because there's xylitol in the chewable.
That's right. Use liquid.
And you can just put it in your dog's water or cats or whatever. And
that's right.
They're not going to notice the difference. You sprinkle it on their food. So it's really great. It's wonderful for horses as well.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So for you horse lovers out there.
So obviously with the special going on, this is the time when people want to try it. If you've never tried it, this is a great opportunity to give it a chance when it's discounted this way, right? So
Carrie, it's available in liquid and chewables. So it has to be in that delivery system because of some things that had happened in the past. But it's a very easily packet like that. You just pop them out. Chew one is 500 milligrams. The liquid is 300 per serving. So you can take that. I usually take between 500 and 1,200 a day. It just really depends on what my day looks like. Well, it's true. Like if I'm hungry, I just keep eating chewables. I'll eat CoQ10. I eat that. I'm just up here just with my chewables. But definitely John takes it in his water for practice and games all the time. So it's made a difference. It's made a difference on his recovery and focus. And as his body grows, he's 11. So supplements don't scare me.
Not at all. Totally safe.
Great presentation.
Good.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mike. All right, guys, stay tuned because up next is Dr. Cynthia. She's going to be talking to us about endurance training. And actually, this is probably one of the things she may speak on. But if you know somebody that can utilize this product, don't forget that, the Weiner Wellness Special is going on all week, 30 to 50% off all in-house products. Make sure you give them the call or stop in. It's something that you should definitely have in your house. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.